Everyone's fighting a war nobody sees. Depression, addiction, loss, trauma. You fought yours, and you won. Right now, someone's in that same fight, looking for a way out. You are their proof it's possible. Welcome to the Life Warrior Podcast. Emily Cameron, thank you for being on the Life Warrior Podcast today. I'm really glad to have you here. We've known each other for a minute, and I knew a little bit about your story, but I didn't know the full depth of it. So I'm glad to have you here for the first official Life Warrior Podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to share my story.
I think it's going to be a great one. There's a lot of people out there. I say this all the time. There's somebody out there living your story similar to it, and they are not as far along in their story as you are, and they don't know how to get out. And the blueprint is here. You have it. And so I'm glad for you to tell that story so somebody out there listening can move ahead in their journey for this. So we'll just get right into it. Your story starts young, and I think that's something that gets missed sometimes, that kids have life warrior journeys too. Being a kid's tough. And so for you, it was no different. And it started in the second grade. So just talk a little bit about how your childhood went.
Okay, yeah. We moved to Aledo when I was in first grade. Yeah. And I started school and had no issues making friends. It was much smaller town back then. Yeah. And so I guess the first real memory I have of, kind of having self-worth issues started around second grade. I had friends, but I had friends that were mean.
Yeah.
The mean girls were real. Yeah. And so they were your friend in front of you, and then behind your back, they were making fun of you. And the biggest thing for me was I was bigger than my friends. I was not skinny. I was not a cheerleader. I was very athletic. I played all the sports. Softball was my big thing that I played, but I wasn't a cheerleader. And that's where the popular girls were, and that's where the cool kids were, and that just wasn't me.
Yeah. And it's funny that the town that we live in, we both live in the same town, that I don't think that's changed much since.
Not at all.
So
not a little bit. Yes.
So when you say that's where it began, you have three different sides to your story, which is pretty cool. That it started such a young age, but those three sides are eating disorder, alcohol, and then we'll talk big about the last one. Mm-hmm. But the eating disorder and viewing your weight as mm-hmm. bad, that started then. So talk a little bit about how that progressed.
Yeah, so like I said, I became more self-conscious around that age. I wanted to wear baggier clothes. And I just was very self-conscious and aware of the way I looked, and I was very critical of myself. Yeah. I would say like dieting and stuff probably started around maybe age 8. My dad had a heart attack at age 40, and that's where it all kind of, the family dynamic changed. We started eating cleaner foods. We had to eat healthier foods, just as a whole family, so that the junk wasn't in the house.
Right.
And then the exercise started, and I enjoyed working out. So we went to the gym as a family. We hired a personal trainer, 6 a.m. every morning. All 5 of us would go. And so
8 years old, personal trainer?
That's kind of how it started, was just learning to be active and things like that. Right. And of course, my family had no idea how self-conscious I was, because that wasn't something that I was going to talk about. It was just, that was a me thing. That was a self-hatred thing that I just became more aware of the older I got.
And was that a lot of because of what was going on with the friends, because of the talk? And
yes, so that absolutely, like my family life at home, there was no body shaming, nothing like that. It was all, we were eating healthy to support my dad. We were working out to support my dad.
Yeah, I think that gets missed a lot of times, and bullying is still very much a thing, and people talk about it all the time. It never changes, and at that age, how really deep it affects you as a kid, especially when it comes to weight issues or the way you look or money or whatever that is, and it doesn't matter where you come from. Money, no money, it doesn't matter what your life is like that. They find something. They'll find something, and once it starts, it's tough to get by. And these things are what comes from it. So you told me that you had bulimia, and so what did that look like? When did that start, and how long did it last?
Yeah, so I had a pediatrician here in Fort Worth who had started talking to us about weight loss, saying I had gained too much weight over a year period and that I needed to be careful what I ate. So in my self-conscious mind, that was, she's fat, quit eating. That's what I took it as. My brother was dating a girl that we had suspicions that she was bulimic. I had no idea what that word meant.
Right.
I knew what anorexia was.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, she's skinny, she's pretty, I'll try it. And so it just started. I mean, I had no idea that it was like super dangerous. I had no idea. I knew it was something I had to hide from everyone, but I didn't fully grasp the whole picture.
Yeah.
And so I think I was in 8th or 9th grade when that started. And I started losing weight. And the doctor was high-fiving me. You look great. I was still working out. I was still eating healthy at home. But on my own time, I was binging and purging. And I mean, the cycle was just vicious. And it started small and then got worse and worse. And the more weight I lost, the worse it got.
So it's like it's positive reinforcement that it's actually working.
Absolutely.
And everybody's telling you how great you look. And
absolutely. It was feeding right into my ego.
Right.
Guys started to notice me. The friends that I hung out with still, they wanted to hang out with me again. It was like my ticket.
Yeah. So on the outside, everything looks great.
Mm-hmm.
On the inside, it's complete chaos.
Absolutely. And so with that came, I already had depression, but the depression got worse. Severe depression. I was miserable.
Yeah.
I hated myself. I loved that people thought I looked good.
Right.
But it was all superficial. They only liked me because of my looks. They didn't like me. And so that hole just kept getting deeper and deeper and deeper.
Right. So how long did that last?
Oh, sheesh. Well, through, I would say, my second pregnancy, it came back up again.
Wow. So
Yes.
it lasted, it drug out that long.
Yeah, a very long time. I still deal with self-image issues.
Right.
But I mean, I'm a woman. Everybody does, but it's just part of it.
Well, what we do,
It
weightlifting, there's nobody in the gym that doesn't
Very
have
true.
those issues,
Very true.
So that lasted that long. Now, two worlds come together. You talked about in high school, your freshman year, how alcohol came into your life at 15 years old, and how the very first time you did it was a blackout moment, and that's the way it was the entire time. So talk about that, how it started, and how it progressed through your life.
Yeah. So, growing up, my parents, they had parties, they had friends over, they hosted clients a lot and vendors. They were home builders. We always had people in our house. There was always alcohol in the house. Now, they kept it put away, and they didn't allow us to drink if we, and my siblings are way older than me, but I wasn't allowed to drink. And so it was just something we didn't do. And I had a friend invite me to a New Year's Eve thing with her parents. And she said, my mom said, if your parents say it's okay, that we can drink. And so I just said, yeah, my mom said it was fine. I don't know how much I drank, but I do know that I don't remember anything. And that first sip, when it hit me, it was like I found what I needed.
Yeah.
This is what I needed in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't care about anything. I didn't care what people thought about me. I didn't care. I just felt good.
Yeah. It's like the ultimate mood enhancer. I had a friend of mine who was alcoholic, and that's what he called it. It was the ultimate mood enhancer. Sometimes it hit him. He felt like, man, I feel like Superman. And then the depression side, it made it 10 times worse. I guess that was the same experience for you.
Absolutely. And, for me, it was the guilt shame cycle. I got in a lot of trouble for drinking that night, a whole lot of trouble. And, but I got attention for it. They paid, they were like, oh, she's in trouble. And I got grounded and whatever. But that didn't stop me from continuing to do it through high school.
Yeah.
And so I would find ways to get alcohol, most of the time, not smart ways once I was driving. Put myself in a lot of really bad situations, and it's a miracle I didn't get kidnapped or raped or killed.
Yeah.
And then the drinking just continued. I didn't have to drink every day. I wasn't your typical what you would consider alcoholic.
Right.
I didn't think I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 15 years old. It wasn't drugs. And so to me, it was like, there's nothing wrong with this.
Yeah. So that started at 15, and that too, just like, well, I found out now, the bulimia, the eating disorder stuff, that lasted into your early adult life too. Now, during that time, so fast forward a little, so you've been doing this now, all the way through high school, and you're going to the gym, you're working at a gym, and you meet somebody, and who's now your husband. And so together, did he understand? Did he know what was going on with you?
He did not. He had no idea. And he was 21, and I was not yet.
I got you.
So I found me. I found my ticket.
I got you. Right.
Yeah. No, he had no idea. I think the first time he really figured it out was my 18th birthday. It was right after we met. We went to go to Billy Bob's, and I had already been at his apartment drinking. And he figured it out when I got out of the car to walk in. And he was like, wow.
Yeah.
So he had no idea what he was walking into. I don't think he knew about the eating disorder. When he asked my dad if he could marry me, I think my dad probably was like, do you understand what you're getting yourself into?
Right.
So, I mean, he's loved me through all of it, though. He's seen every side of me you could imagine.
Yeah. No,
and I think he's got the better end of the stick now. Yeah. I think we're getting there.
Right. So, again, so you got married. How old were you when you got married?
I was 18.
So you got married when you were 18, and I know y'all moved away from here. When did that happen?
Yeah, so we got married, and then right after my 19th birthday, we had our first baby, our oldest, and we moved.
Still the alcohol and the eating stuff
yes.
is right.
Yes, absolutely. It wasn't severe, and I wasn't drinking or having eating disorder issues with my first pregnancy at all. And I thought, okay, this kid just saved my life.
Yeah.
This is it. I'm done. I'm not going to have to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
And, I mean, when you gain that kind of weight and the kind of mindset I was in, it wasn't a good mix for me.
Yeah.
I will say it wasn't like, things weren't as bad as they were when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Once I met Colt, things definitely got better. I was able to control my drinking.
I got you.
I didn't enjoy controlling my drinking, but I was able to keep it a little more under control.
Yeah. So it didn't really affect y'all's life in a major way at that point?
No, it didn't. And we weren't, we drank some. We didn't drink a lot, but on the weekends we would drink some, and but we weren't like going out and drinking during the week and things like that. So, there's more justification in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not an alcoholic. I know how to control this.
Yeah. So I know at some point it did. At some point it came in and affected your relationship. What did that look like? What was the first thing that happened that, man, this is affecting us in a major way?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I can recall was my 21st birthday. I decided that since Colt was working, I was going to go drink by myself at the bar. I was going to go buy myself a drink because I could legally do it. And it was about noon, and Colt was like, "What the heck are you doing?" And that's kind of where everything changed. And we didn't drink as much anymore. And then we stopped drinking for a while. And then I convinced him, well, I can control it now. And so we tried it again. And it just, for me, it wasn't something I can control. Once I started, I was going to black out without failure. Yeah. Every time. I don't think there's a single time, very few times, that I ever drank one or two drinks. So I drank until I was gone.
That was you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I've never, and of course I was a young guy too, doing dumb things, and I definitely got that way more than once. Mm-hmm. But I never, I could definitely control it. I didn't understand that feeling, and I still can't, where it grabs a hold of you so much mm-hmm. that you have to carry it to that level. So in that sense, it drug out. You moved back here, and again, you found the gym. You and him mm-hmm. found the gym together, and that changed a lot. I know what you told me was that it was almost like your therapy. The AA meetings and all the things that you went to. I know you had even gone to a facility, right? Or in Arizona?
Yeah, so I went, I guess I kind of skipped over all that. I went to rehab when I was 16 for my eating disorder. I had some issues playing sports, and the doctors did a cardiac MRI and said that I had gotten so skinny that my body was eating my heart. And so parents shipped me off to, I say ship me off, that's kind of rude, but they loved me. They loved me, and they wanted me better. They were terrified. They didn't know what to do. So they took me to the best facility they could find, and it was in Arizona. And I was there for 60 days with probably 30 other 16-year-old girls who were all just like me. And I hated every single second. It was brutal.
Do you think it
did nothing?
Didn't change you?
I wasn't ready to stop.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've wasted a lot of money. And then the eating disorder and the drinking kind of go hand in hand. And that's something I learned too, is usually if you have an eating disorder, there's another addiction involved somewhere, whether it be drug addiction, sex addiction, codependency. I mean, there are other things that are underlying.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I lied my way through rehab. I finally got to come home after the 60 days. I was supposed to transition to a second facility that was more like a halfway house, but it was still all inpatient. We just had a little bit more freedom. It wasn't as structured. And I convinced my parents not to do that by writing very hateful letters to them on a consistent basis. And they finally let me come home. And so I think when I was 17, I went back again and went just to the halfway house.
So you had to go back.
I had gotten in trouble for drinking. I think I had gotten suspended from school that time from drinking at school. And that I was like, oh, well, it's my eating disorder. Because I didn't want it to be the drinking.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to drink.
Yeah.
I didn't want that to be the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, if I have to give up one, I'll give up this one. But don't touch this one. And so I went back to rehab and did, I think it was a 45-day program. And I did pretty well when I got back. I had, my whole outpatient team here that I went to and things like that. And like I said, it wasn't a daily drinking problem,
Yeah.
but I couldn't go very long without it. And when I did it big.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to just take one drink.
Yeah.
And so even at that age, and then after I had my daughter when I was 21, I ended up back in rehab again. I don't remember why. Probably had to do with the eating disorder and the drinking, but I went to eating disorder rehab.
So it's
because alcohol is not my problem.
Same cycle.
Yeah. And then I think the last time I ended up in rehab, my daughter was 3. And so I was maybe 23 or 24, and I went to a different one this time, and it was for alcohol. They treated eating disorder patients there, but I was not about to tell them that I had an eating disorder because this time they were taking my alcohol, so I was going to use my eating disorder while I was there. And so, I mean, the thing about addiction is you learn how to manipulate.
Right.
The best of the best. I mean, I could look you right in the eye, lie straight to your face, and I'm lying to you, but you believe me.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. I mean, when I look back now at how I treated my family, I mean, just my parents in general, I was awful to them. And all they were trying to do was help me.
Yeah. Yeah, just like good parents do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, okay, so 17, and you went to rehab before you met Colt, and you went to rehab after. And again, so now here we are.
Yeah.
We come back, find the gym, and you start down that road. And it's a great road. Like, things are going great. You're loving it. You're both in the gym together, and you decide you're going to do competitions together. And that's kind of where we met when I came into the gym. So I of course I had no idea all of that had been going on. And so I come talk to you, tell you a little bit about my story that was going on at the time. And we meet and you start training my wife. And again, no idea what was going on in your head. All I see on the outside is, here's a girl, she's got her stuff together, works out, she's got nutrition, she's into it. And we go to your first competition and watch and like, to me on the outside, somebody on the outside looking is like, man, it's great. And at that time, like you said, the gym was your therapy and it had kind of taken over. And now the third part of your journey, which is a major journey. Competition's going great. Competing, nutrition, lifting, you're in it. And then this major event happens. So talk about that, your progression and about how that came up, this event came about.
Yeah. So Colt and I actually met in the gym. And I was working there and he was working out. I didn't work out much back then. I just, liked all the guys coming in the gym.
Right.
So through our marriage, we worked out some, but it was just, off and on. We had 2 babies very early in our marriage. And so and then he was in school and working full time. I was working and we were juggling kids. And so we did work out, but not frequently. And when we moved back to Fort Worth from East Texas, that's he had started training for a Tough Mudder. And he convinced me like the week before to do it with him. So I did not train for this. I hadn't lifted a weight. I don't run.
Yeah.
And so
those are like 13 miles.
Yeah.
I did one. They're like 13 or 14 miles.
I was like,
terrible.
Sure,
terrible.
that sounds great. Let's do it.
Right.
I couldn't walk for days after. I thought I'd been hit by a train.
It was
awful. Yeah. So he convinced me, he started talking to me about, well, you want to lose weight, you need to put muscle on to lose weight. That's how we're going to do it. You don't have to stress about what you're eating. You just need to eat and let's work out. And so I was like, I hadn't been in the gym in forever. So he convinced me to start lifting weights, and he was like, just work out with me. And so most couples cannot work out together.
No, I would attest to that.
Most of the time we get along. If I'm over on the Stairmaster and he's still lifting weights, I probably got upset about something. But so we started training together, and we did that for a few years. And then we ended up moving to San Antonio. And right after that, we immediately found a gym. So we would stay engaged.
Yeah.
And we continued doing that for about 3 years. And then we moved back right at, it was March of 2020. We had moved back into our house, and a week later, the world shut down. So the day we moved back, we went to the gym, joined a gym, because we knew if we put it off, we probably wouldn't. And we just, started working out again, and then the gym shut down. And so at first we would sneak in and do, workouts we'd come in the back door and try to not be seen in there, try and get workouts in. And we met there was a trainer in there one day, and he walked over and he said, "Hey, do y'all compete?" And we were like, "Oh, that's flattering. We look good enough that he thinks we compete. That's kind of cute."
Right.
And we were like, "Absolutely not. We just do this for fun." And he was like, "Well, why don't you compete?" And about a week later, we were like, "All right, let's compete." Little did we know that everything was going to be completely shut down.
Right.
And so we continued our first prep. We were going to do a show together. So we continued our first prep during the COVID shutdown. We were probably the skinniest people out there during COVID. Everybody else at home getting fat.
Yep.
We were in the garage doing 2-hour workouts in the 100-degree weather.
Yep.
And it was brutal. But I ended up doing a show, and Colt didn't. He ended up backing out of the first one. And so I competed, and at the Kuklo Classic, I think was the first show I did up in Plano. And I ended up getting second place and fourth place. And the girl I lost to was second place. She was a pro the next week. So I didn't feel too bad about that.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, I placed my first show. But it was super fun. Just the excitement of being up there on stage and just looking back at, wow, I accomplished that.
Yeah.
And I don't like being in front of people. And so that was huge for me, just a huge accomplishment. And so I decided, Colt ended up competing a couple months later. And then from there, we continued. I think I competed another time the following year in 2021. We competed together. I think that's the one y'all went to.
That's the one we went to.
Yeah.
That's your was your second show.
Yeah. So we competed together in 21. And that was a fun experience. I would rather be miserable with someone. So us competing and, being in peak week and all that all at the same time was probably more pleasant than most people if their spouse was doing it.
Yeah.
So, and then we decided in 2022 that I was going to compete at a show in Fort Worth, get qualified, and go to get my pro card 10 weeks later in Nashville. That was my plan. I was a personal trainer, and that would look really good to have my pro card,
right.
And so a few months before that, when all the COVID shutdowns had happened, this is kind of where my story goes back to. In September of 2021, we finally gave in and got the COVID vaccine. And so I'm, mid-prep here, get the COVID vaccine, no issues, nothing changes. Then I compete, or I get closer to competition.
Yeah.
I went and had some blood work done right before, just because it was noticeably shaky.
I remember.
And so I had people coming up and saying, hey, what's wrong with her?
Yeah.
Or what's wrong with you? And we couldn't figure out what it was. And so I went and had blood work done, and they told me everything looked totally fine. So we continue with prep, and what day was it? April 9th was my show. And so I went and competed, and I won the show in women's physique. And I think we went out after. I can't remember if y'all were there or not. My brain's foggy.
Yeah. No,
okay.
We weren't there for that one.
Yeah. So we had friends and family that were there, and we all went to dinner after. And I was super excited because I was ready to eat some food.
Yeah.
And then we got home, took a shower, and went to bed. About 5 a.m. the next morning, Colt woke up to me convulsing in the bed. And I used to have nightmares. And so he thought that I was having a nightmare, started kind of, hey, wake up, what's wrong? And he said that I sat up, shot out of the bed, and ran straight into the wall. And he realized something was wrong. And by the time he got over there, he said I started turning blue. And he realized that something was really wrong.
Right.
And so he started to do CPR and called 911. And I think it took the ambulance about 10 minutes to get there. So he did CPR for 10 minutes. They get there, and they had to shock me 4 times to get any kind of rhythm again. And rushed me to the hospital. And then when we got there, they basically told him the odds of her making it are almost zero.
Yeah. No, I've been there. I've seen it,
Yeah. So, how crazy it is. I think it was a total of 25 minutes without my heart beating on its own.
That is a miracle, to say the least.
Absolutely.
It never happens.
Absolutely. And so my dad and my husband sat in the waiting room while the doctors worked on me. And apparently I was coherent in the ambulance. I don't have any recollection of anything that happened even the day of my show, the day before. I remember bits and pieces, but most of the things I've just been told happened. Yeah. And so they get me to the hospital, and I'm awake and I'm fine until I'm not. Yeah. And then I crashed again. And they came out and told them, we have to intubate her, and you have to sign this piece of paper that basically states that this could kill her, but if we don't, it could kill her.
Right.
And so I can't imagine having to make that decision for someone.
Right.
Like my husband with 3 kids having to make this decision, Yeah. And so they ended up intubating me, and I was on a ventilator for 36 hours. I think that's right. I don't really remember much of it. I was kind of out of it.
Right.
But anyway, so I spent a week in the hospital. Doctors can't tell me what's wrong still to this day. They're like, we don't know what happened. I personally, my belief and other people I have talked to, the only thing that it could come down to, based on all of the blood work and stuff that was done and the testing, is the COVID vaccine is what caused the cardiac arrest. And so, which I knew in the first place. Yeah. I 100% knew that's what happened. Yeah. So since then...
there's plenty of evidence out there now that proves it.
Absolutely. So my biggest question, they implanted a defibrillator in my body so that if my heart ever stops again, it'll shock me and it'll keep me alive, which I'm not a big fan of, but, we're going to deal with it for a while.
Right.
So the biggest thing to me was, can I still work out?
Yeah.
Because when I was in the hospital, I was still convinced I was going to compete for my pro card.
Yeah, I'm going to Nashville.
It was happening. And so they told me that was fine, that I could do cardiac rehab if I wanted. And when I called up there, it was basically nothing. I was like, so after 3 weeks, I was able to start lifting again and just slowly built my tolerance back up and got into that. But, weightlifting has always been a big part of my journey.
Yeah.
And it's been the place that I can go to, and if I'm angry, if I'm depressed, if I want to drink, if things like that.
Yeah.
If I go do that, it takes my mind off of it. And so that's something I've always been able to do.
Yeah. And that, to me, it's, again, the Life Warrior brand, the reason we started that whole fitness brand was because there are literally millions of us out there that is the therapy. That's it. And that's where you go to work things out in your head. And people who don't, it's almost like taking a drug away from a drug addict. When you don't have it, the thoughts and the feelings that come to you after not being there for a while are not good. They're not good. My wife will attest to it. She knows if I'm not there, if it's 4 days or whatever it is, it's time to get there. And so, I understand where you're coming from with that. Now, I'll ask you this. You and Colt, your relationships, you've been through it all together. Did the fact that your husband saving your life, how did that change or affect your relationship? I'm assuming it's probably made it much stronger.
Yeah. So I joke with him
He
that
he doesn't talk smack, does he? He doesn't ever.
I joke with him all the time. I'm like, you're sitting there doing CPR going, God, you can't take her. I don't know how to pay the bills.
Right,
I don't know what to do to the kids.
Right.
No, our relationship through our whole marriage, we've been married 17 years.
Yeah.
I think we're going on 18. And so, we've been married more than half my life.
Right.
And we have been through literal hell and back.
Yeah.
And I have put that man through every possible scenario you could imagine.
Yeah.
And he has stood by my side through all of it. And that is nothing short of God just having his hand on my life.
Yeah.
And he looked to the Lord for wisdom, because if I were him, I'd have left me.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know how this guy's still around.
Yeah.
I found God just placed him in my life at the just right time.
Yeah.
And even though we went through hard times, he was able to rely on God to bring him through it. And then me seeing that and seeing, wow, he's really trusting in God to pull me out of this. That was eye-opening for me. And with the cardiac arrest, I think the thing that the one picture I have in my mind, I was not present, I was being ventilated, but hearing that he looked over at my dad and they got on their knees and just started to pray.
Yeah.
Just, God, do a miracle, one more miracle. Because my life is nothing short of God putting a miracle after a miracle after a miracle.
Right.
I don't deserve to be here, but he has a purpose for my life. And this is the year that we're like, hey, let's get some purpose going.
Right.
I want people to, I don't want to hide it anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't go through all this crap in my life, which is not as bad as some people's crap, but I didn't go through all of this not to give someone else hope.
Yeah.
I've been sober for 10 years now. I never in a million years would I have imagined I would have lived this long, let alone gone more than 30 days without a drink. And I don't even think about drinking anymore. And Colt doesn't, he was like, well, if we don't need to drink, we're just not going to drink.
Yeah.
He quit drinking. He's been my number one support just time after time after time. If I need something, he's like, okay, let's just do it.
Yeah.
What do we need to do? But I can't imagine being in that position where my life is literally in his hands. And I don't know how I would respond in that. I guess he just reacted, and luckily he knew what to do. And so, I can't even grasp.
Yeah. Well, I believe nothing happens by chance.
Absolutely
I don't
not.
think anything happens by chance. And there was a reason y'all got together. There was, and that whatever that reason was, maybe it was that day.
Yeah.
That was the reason. And so like I said, nothing happens by chance. And there's a reason you're here. I say it all the time on my lives and my podcast that everybody has a why. Sometimes it takes you a long time to figure it out. And it has me. It took me till I was 50 years old to figure it out. And so it's a testament to, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but loyalty. And, like you said, for him being around and sticking around, it takes somebody pretty special to fight through all of that and still just be like, and I will say that I get, from a man's perspective, that is a man's thought process. It's, okay, this is the problem. Let's do this. If this is what fixes it, let's just do that. Let's don't go through a whole bunch of nonsense and talk about other things. That's the problem. This is the solution. Do that. And so I can see exactly where he's coming from with that, because I do that. That's me all the time. It's like, well, okay, well, here's the problem. Let's do this, fix it. So you already kind of alluded to it, but at the end of my podcast, I always ask, because again, there's somebody out there living your story, whether it's bulimia, whether it's alcohol, whether it's vaccine related stuff. There's somebody out there that's right in the middle of it and going back and forth and doing all the things you were doing, and they are absolutely stuck and have no clue where to go or how to get out of it, or don't think they can. And so a lot of times people make an ultimate terrible last choice to go, well, this isn't worth it. I don't have a purpose here. I'm going to take that last step in my life. And so one of the main goals for Life Warrior United is to find those people and hopefully listening, that hear the story and make that choice of going, okay, well, here she is. She went through the worst. And when you say my stuff is not as worse, as bad as others, somebody told me one time, I was having this conversation with sometimes, and they explained to me, your trauma or your conflict is your conflict and theirs is theirs. To you, it's every bit as bad as theirs is to them. You can't compare the two. And so it made complete sense to me. And so sitting where you're sitting now, going from all of those things, advice for anybody out there that's right in the middle of their journey that you've already walked, what I call your Life Warrior advice.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
It is. I mean, for me personally, my biggest thing is my faith. Absolutely, number one thing is God walked me through every single step of this. Every time I was drinking and driving, he was driving that car. Every time I would black out, he was watching where I was at. When I'm laying in the hospital bed and the doctors are saying she's not going to make it, God was there. Yeah. The fact that my husband woke up, who sleeps through everything, he woke up.
Yeah.
To me, going into cardiac arrest. I mean, that's God.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's God never leaves me. It doesn't matter how deep my hole is. It doesn't matter how far I have gone. He has proven time and time again that he is there with me.
Yeah.
All I have to do is say, hey, remember me.
Yeah.
I'm back. And
the ultimate form of loyalty. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, that's exactly right. And then, finding support, friends, finding someone to talk to is huge. Being able to admit, hey, this is my problem. And, AA, first step, you got to
Right.
admit your problem.
Right.
So, just being able to face those things and just being true to yourself and saying, hey, this is where I'm at. Meet yourself where you are.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at and I'm not ready to be done. Or this is where I'm at and I'm ready to stop. What's my next step? Having a plan. Just having that support around you is huge. And if God can bring me out of the situations and the things I did in my life, there's nothing too big.
Yeah.
Nothing too big.
Yeah. I'm with you. And for anybody out there who doesn't, because there are people out there that don't have that support. They have nobody to lean on. But there are programs, there are institutions, there are counselors, there's tons of things out there to help somebody who doesn't feel like they have that. They do. And so I just want to make sure everybody understands out there that it is churches, wherever it is, there's somebody out there that'll listen. And so I appreciate you telling your story. It's important, and I think it's going to affect a lot of people. And that is the goal of Life Warrior United. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. And I appreciate you coming on for the very first time, even though I know you don't necessarily like being in front of people. But I appreciate you coming on the first podcast like this with us and being the first one to tell your Life Warrior story here. So much appreciated for you doing that. And I'm super glad to know you and glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me. And I'm super excited to see what Life Warrior has in store.
Me too. All right. Thank you. Today, go do Life Warrior shit. Remember, try to make somebody else's life better. I promise, if you do, yours will get better too. We'll see you next time.